Welcome back. We'll start off the show, as Alera will say, in earnest. Well, we're starting off with political leadership in Nigeria. Leadership is undoubtedly a very big challenge in Africa and Nigeria in particular. Having a competent, effective, and purposeful leadership that is capable of turning its highly chorused great potentials into real economic and political power has been a major challenge for the country. This seems simply because of the failure to identify the essential values that sustain various societies now constituting the modern Nigerian society and infuse such values into the social system. How is it then that Nigeria has survived this period all these years? And is there no way forward? Is there no light at the end of the tunnel, or is there no light in the tunnel? That's what someone will say, not at the end of the tunnel. There is possibly light in the tunnel, and it can be achieved. Now, most Nigerians believe that all Nigeria's problems can be summarized as leadership failure. Corruption strives where moral values are eroded by greed, sharp practices, and unbridled crave for luxurious grandeur. Until the problem of leadership is unpacked, trifle formulations are scrutinized objectively, and honest analyses are carried out, it would be difficult for an efficient and productive value-enhancing institution to flourish in the country. Is that true? Well, to help us answer some of these questions, we have some people in the studio, in Abuja studio. We have a lady who's joining us, Mrs. Esther Ibanga, who is a women's advocate and a development expert. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good morning.
We're still expecting Professor Vincent Anigbogu, who's the Director General of International Institute for National Transformation. He'll be joining us in the course of the program. I think he's still held up in traffic on his way here. But let's start with you, Mrs. Ibanga. Tell us, is leadership the major problem in Nigeria?
Absolutely. I would say yes, that leadership is a major problem and a fundamental one at that in Nigeria. Our failure as a country to attain the heights that we are meant to with all the resources and the blessings that God has blessed us with can actually be traced to leadership failure. And fundamentally, if the leaders do not lead well, then there is no followership to follow well, as you know. So I think, yes, leadership is really major.
Break it down a little bit. You have said that leadership is our main problem. So what kind of leadership should we be looking for? What kind of qualities should we be looking for in those that we vote for, that we elect as our leaders?
Okay, let me start by saying that to be a leader, you really have to have certain qualities that will enable you make an impact. Let me start with the fact that the fundamental understanding of leadership in Nigeria is about position, it's about power, it's about access to resources, and it's about benefiting yourself or your community or your religion or your people. But the truth of the matter is a leader should actually be sold out to making the lives of the people better. And what I mean by that is leadership is not about you. Leadership is about the people you serve. So to be a leader, the first fundamental requirement or qualification, I would say, is that you have to be unselfish. And that is, you have to think of yourself last. But we have leadership that think of themselves first, their position, their power, and their benefits. You have to be able to say, no, the fact that I occupy this position or I have access to these resources is to make the lives of those who are not as privileged as I am better, you know, is to look out for the welfare of others, for the constituency or the people that I am responsible for. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we do not have a leadership template, you know, to follow. So people come into leadership with just a desire to better their own lives. There is no competence, there is no capability, there is no strength of character to say that I am going to do this to the best of my ability and as truthful as possible. So these are some of the qualities we need to look out for. We need to look out for people that are humble, because leadership is about washing the feet of others. It's about washing the feet of your followers. Leadership is about looking out for the welfare of your people. Leadership is not about you. Leadership is about using your abilities, your capabilities, your competence to make the lives of others better.
You know, when I was going to, before you got to that point where you say in Nigeria, the mindset is that leadership is about position, is about office, is about access to pecuniary gains. I was going to ask you if that's what it is. But now you've talked about what the leader should be doing. You talked about humility, you talked about competence. But are these things evident in any way? Do you have to be in a particular position for you to even begin to exhibit some of these qualities you've been lining up?
Not at all. You don't have to be in a position to have those qualities. There are people that have those qualities but are not privileged to have the position to maybe influence people. But what I am saying is, if you want to occupy a leadership position, that is, you have stepped out and do want to take the responsibility of a constituency, of a state, of a people, then you're putting yourself on the line, you're putting yourself up front, and you're saying that I must have these qualities, you know, before I carry out my responsibilities. So there are Nigerians who have those qualities, and maybe they are not in the limelight right now, but I can tell you that within their small spheres of influence, for example, it may just be a market woman. She will exhibit those leadership traits, and that will make her the market woman's leader.
Okay,
and it may
but
be
if I may come in here, Mr. Ibanga, if I may come in here, the other side of it is the average Nigerian out there would rather celebrate that one who's like the big man, in quotes, than look to the other man who has competence. How do you balance the two?
I agree with you, and I will tell you what is responsible for that. It is the weaponization of poverty in Nigeria. A large percentage of Nigerians have been so impoverished that they look up, literally worship leaders, because they believe that that will be their access for food to eat and just basically live, you know. So it does not matter whether you are a leader and you do not have those qualities. As long as you can give me small money and I can do rankadede to you, then it is accepted and it is celebrated. Otherwise, why would people, you know, who we know are obvious thieves, will come back to our villages to build a big mansion, and we celebrate and go and bow down before them? If Nigerians are taken out of poverty and are given the dignity of living as human beings, believe me, I'm telling you, they will not celebrate the kind of people we're celebrating today.
Do you get a sense, therefore, that it is a deliberate thing that the politicians are doing, or the leaders are doing, keeping the bulk of Nigerians impoverished so that they can be controlled?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because a Nigerian, the average Nigerian that is empowered, can stand up and demand his rights and be respected as a citizen of this country. Permit me to give you an example from scriptures. In the book of Nehemiah, there was a problem with Jerusalem at that time. The walls were broken down. Jerusalem